2414 is a podcast about finding hope and common ground through casual conversation. Like the friends on the road in the New Testament, in Luke chapter 24, verse 14, we want to walk away with more understanding that leads to more conversation as the journey continues. Thanks for walking with us.
That's it. Hey, welcome to 2414. My name's Dan Weber, sitting across from co-host, musician, songwriter, guitarist, saxophonist, and dulcimerist extraordinaire Shane Welter. Hey, Shane.
Buzzwords of the day. You got it.
And our special guest today is Alice Phillips. Hi, Alice.
Hello.
Oh, my goodness. This is awesome.
We'll see.
Well, I'm glad you're here. And Alice is our guest today. We're kicking off a new series on just hearing people's stories. So no agenda, no angle. We just want to get to know you. We work together, so we get to see each other a lot. But partly because I'm not a good listener and partly because life is very complicated and nuanced, I feel like there's so much I don't know about you.
Yeah, we haven't really had a chance to sit down and visit.
Yeah, I'm excited to do that. Before we get to who Alice is and Shane and I ask her and she answers all of your burning questions, we're going to look at highs and lows for the day or week or season or the last 15 minutes. And the question of the day is, what is one Christmas present of note this year? It's not your favorite present. We're not making anybody feel bad or inflating anybody's ego. But what's the first Christmas present that comes to mind? What's something that maybe you're excited about or you've already returned or you've used the most? What is a Christmas gift of note from this last year? So Shane, why don't you get us going? Lows, highs, a Christmas present of note.
Okay, lows, highs, lows. I'll start things off with low. Recently, 2 weeks ago, Lauren and I got back into working out, lifting, and whatnot else. And I think we took too long of a hiatus, and then we went a little too hard going back into it. And I think I probably overstretched or tore a muscle or something. This last weekend, my elbow was like twice its normal size.
That was bad,
That's not good.
It's gone better. It's gone down. But
did you have to drain it or just took care of itself?
I ended up wearing a compression sleeve.
Okay.
And it was like comical because like my forearm was like overflowing off the compression sleeve, but it worked.
It's not comical, it's gross.
Oh, it was funny, but like that helped. So like it got the swelling down, and now I'm better. And
do we have to add a medical disclosure like to the show introduction now? Like this is seek advice from your medical trained professional. Please don't listen
not
to
us. Don't us. Not us.
May induce seizures if you watch this.
Where do you think all that fluid went? Just back into the system.
I
love that we accept that as a normal thing.
It arrived and then it departed.
Yeah, my elbow got really huge and then it's not.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Nah.
Yeah. I saw it. It was pretty bad.
The largest swelling came during our staff epiphany party. So it was funny because I was around everyone and I was like holding my arm like I don't know, like it didn't work or something, but it was fine.
That was your low or your high?
That was my low. It's better now, so I guess that's a high. No, but a high. I had it in my head, and as I'm talking, I'm trying to remember. Curses.
You're too young to do that already. Forget.
I'm an old man in a young man's body. I don't know. But I think my high.
You can pass. Come back. How about a Christmas gift of note?
Yeah, I'll say that. I'll double back to it. Gift Christmas note. Lauren always has some really always plans her gifts. My wife, Lauren, she plans gifts very thoughtfully and like meaning behind everyone and whatnot. One of her gifts to me, like her last gift, she I think there's like one more card for you in the tree. And of course there's like a card hidden in the tree, and I open it and it's all this long written note, lovely note, and all these puns in it, like underlined words. And all the words and phrases she underlined were from a musical called Dear Evan Hansen. And on the back is like, I got us tickets to see Dear Evan Hansen in Seattle. So it's a new musical. I say new. I think it was made in like 10 2-ish years ago. So
Dear Evan Hansen?
Dear Evan Hansen.
I never heard of it, Alice.
Dear,
like writing a letter?
Right,
Yeah. So like an intro
Dear
to-
Evan Hansen.
Yeah,
Haven't
and
heard.
premise is I don't know, a guy pretends to be friends with a guy at their high school who ended up committing suicide, killing himself, and he pretends to be friends with him, and
like the guy who died.
Yeah, and they never were, and
that's
and
messed
then
up.
all of a sudden he becomes an inspiration to so many people.
All based on a lie.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So, but it's a music and really like deep, hard hitting music and stuff. So,
And you've seen it before? Or
I've only listened to like the
Oh,
soundtrack,
okay.
so never seen it. So, yeah, that'll be
That's
really
exciting.
Yeah. Double back. Hi. I still can't remember what I was going to say, but I think I'll go with this. We're working on reworking our church website, and I'm having a lot of fun learning how to use like all the coding and everything in the website, which might sound boring,
what a
but
dork.
I know.
No.
No, that's important. That's awesome.
But
Someone needs to know it.
yeah, and it's fun, and I have fun with the creative side of it, and like how can I make this look cool, and all these cool features and stuff. So
Yeah.
I'm having fun with that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, for me, Lo, it's still dark here. I kind of fell for the winter solstice. Like I tricked myself into thinking this is the shortest day of the year. It's going to start getting lighter, and technically it has, but experientially we're not there yet. So I've noticed that the last couple mornings I come downstairs, I get a cup of coffee, do some reading, get my second cup of coffee. It's still dark. Still dark. It is nighttime when the kids all come down. So I know spring is coming and summer is coming, but it's awfully dark still. And it got cold again this week. I kind of similarly, I thought winter was over.
No, we're only in January.
Yeah, I know. It was the first week of January. I'm like, sun's coming out. It's getting warmer.
No.
Fall's, spring's coming. Like, no, it still might snow.
Yeah, it still might.
Yeah, so it's cold and dark. That's my low. Hi. This sounds maybe dorky. I've been playing a lot of chess with my kids, especially.
Dork.
Yeah, and it's been so fun. I've lost a couple times. That feels humbling.
Is it the same person?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I'm and it's a limited pool in my house of chess players, so the quality of competition is it's a closed system. But I feel like I'm getting better. So I don't know.
Do they still have chess in the, I guess, newspaper, but you probably don't get a newspaper anymore? My dad would play chess by the newspaper.
How does that work?
They would just post the moves.
Like a puzzle. You have to solve.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah, you could kind of play against. It was interesting.
People used to play like correspondence chess, like in the mail. Like you just mail back and forth D4. All right.
I'm not that
Knight
smart.
to F3. And that reminds me, so at our family reunion last April, my big brother is a very good chess player, and he goes to tournaments and things like that. So he played, I think it was my daughter maybe, but he played blindfolded. So he didn't have a blindfold. So he turned his back to the table, and he was using chess annotation and saying, A3, and just because there's a 8x8 grid, so they're numbered 1 through 8 and A through H. And so he was just telling me the moves and trying to remember where all 32 pieces on the board were of these 64 squares.
Why?
Because he's good and it was fun. And so we took pictures of this, while we were playing, and it just looks like he's sitting in the corner by himself because without any context, he's got his back to the table. Like everybody's playing this game, and it looks like he's pouting. He ended up losing because he made an illegal move because he forgot where a piece was.
Oh.
And so you make an illegal move.
Does that forfeit your turn?
Yeah, he's out. No, not turn. He forfeited the game. He lost. So he was winning, but he made an illegal move. So turns out he couldn't remember all 32 pieces on all 64 squares. So slacker.
Quick 30-second fun fact note. One of the third times I went to Pastor Dan's house, I was like, "Oh, let's play chess." I'm not a chess player, and it was just comical. He was Pastor Dan was bewildered and confused by all of my moves. He was like, "Why would you do that? You're opening like."
You're like, I don't know, looks good.
You can't intentionally kill your king. Like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Bewildered is a good word for it. I don't think you want to do that. I'm trying to see why that would, under any circumstance, be a good idea. So that's been a recent high, playing some good chess. Notable Christmas gifts. I got a number of books this year. So I got a sci-fi fantasy I've been reading and really enjoying. My father-in-law gave me a large print Bible. And I didn't feel like I was getting old until I looked up. I'm like, ooh, I like that. That's easier to read. And that's way less work. Is
that your first one?
It's my first large print book of any kind. And so it's on my desk.
It's happening.
It's just kind of open on my desk. And it's this beautiful, like the binding. And I can read it with much less strain.
That's interesting.
So I don't think I need large print most things. But I've really appreciated, that book and a sci-fi trilogy started. Yeah. So if I didn't mention your gift, whoever you gave me something, I appreciate that as well. This wasn't favorites, just of note.
Got it.
All right. Alice Phillips, welcome to the show, by the way.
Thank you so much.
Lows, highs, and a Christmas gift of note, even if you picked it out yourself.
Okay. Lows and highs. Low is I think I'm having a turf war with an animal at my house because I've always had a box out on the by the front door for goodies for the delivery guys. Like I put sodas or crackers or whatever in there. And I've had it for a few years now. And I finally upgraded to a little cooler so the chocolate wouldn't melt in the summer and the beverages would stay cold. But 2 days ago, I noticed that the sign was pulled off because it says help yourself. And then I noticed chewing on the corner of the cooler. No. And then yesterday or last night, I think it was even worse. So an animal has figured out I have food in there and is trying to chew its way in. And it's just, we'll see how this goes. But
so you want an air pistol for Christmas next year?
Something like, maybe a little trap that we'll see what we do with it.
Large mouse traps.
Yeah. But so that's not too bad of a low. High, yesterday I got a really good phone message. I came back to a really nice voicemail on my work phone from a very nice lady. And it was just so sweet. I did something very, very simple and easy. And she was so appreciative of it. It just really made my day. So.
Yeah, a little encouragement goes a long way.
It does, yeah. A good, nice, just the time she took to just say thank you for such a small thing. And then Christmas present, I got a lot of, Jeff told me he wasn't going to do any Christmas shopping for me this year. So I thought,
husband Jeff?
Yeah, husband Jeff. So I thought, okay. He goes, I'm just too busy. And I'm thinking, with what? But that's another thing. So we'll have that conversation later. So he goes, so you whatever you want, just get yourself. So I started to do that.
Okay.
And then he ended up buying me presents anyway. So I felt like I really got spoiled this year.
Do you think he forgot, or was it like
No, I think he just realized that was not necessarily a good move on his part. Yep. So, but his mom got me a car seat cover, one of those really lamb's wool one, and every time I get in my car, I love it because it's nice and warm. And that's probably one that stands out because every single time I get in my car, I'm like, I love this car seat cover.
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That sounds really comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was spoiled. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
You're low. I thought it was going to be far worse when we started with turf war with
Turf war.
I thought you were going to say neighbor, and I was like,
no.
Animal. Okay, well,
Yeah.
at least you can
raccoons are pretty bad.
Well, yeah, but
And
you
I
can
assume it's a raccoon.
You can
only because
legally-
They just seem.
you can get rid of an animal. A neighbor,
No, my neighbors all like me, so I'm good in that department. As far as I know, they do. We could find out differently. I don't know, but I think I'm pretty good there. Yeah.
Nice. Shane, did you go back to your high? Do you remember it? We'll just move on.
Oh no,
Never.
it's just gone forever, I guess.
That's
but
low.
website's fun. So
All right. Well, by the way, viewers, listeners, thanks for joining us, and thanks for being gracious about a little break that we had. So Christmas time is a very busy season around here, but we're back. The plan is to have weekly episodes. Much of this year is going to be just hearing people's stories. If you're part of our life here at St. Luke's in the Federal area, you may know some of our guests. If you're out of town, you might hear the name Alice Phillips, and it means nothing to you. I still hope that this will be an engaging conversation, and if nothing else, it'll be a practice to be reminded that people are people and everyone is a person and stories matter, and hearing where people come from is significant, and what people are going through is vastly different than our own experiences. So hopefully just the practice of listening and getting to know people is interesting. And if you're around here, now maybe you can hear a voice connected with the name, or hear some of the story behind the emails that Alice might be sending you to scold you or to follow
to
up
check
on
up
something.
on you.
Are you alive?
Where have you been?
We haven't seen you in months.
That's always an awkward conversation.
Yeah. But it turns out Alice is a real person, and she comes from a place. And so Alice, I don't really have any agenda here. Where are you from? Where were you born?
I was born right here in Seattle. So I'm, true native. Never been anywhere else.
See, north, south, like
Right downtown Seattle.
oh wow, like right in the heart.
When I was born, we lived on Capitol Hill.
Wow.
And then we moved to closer to 520 over by U District.
Okay.
And then we moved out to Seahurst, which is right by the water, close to Burien.
So have you lived outside of Washington?
No.
You've never lived outside of
never,
Washington?
No.
That's amazing.
I know. I love it. Why would I want to go?
No,
I know. But yeah.
Shane, how many states have you lived in? Wisconsin, California, Washington?
Washington, 2 months in Indiana.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
3.5. I don't know.
Okay. That's like an internship.
Yeah.
You didn't get like a license or anything?
No. Yeah.
Yeah, no. Just a Washington
Washington
State driver's license.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Sisters, brothers?
Yes, many. I have, I'm number 7 out of 8 kids.
Okay.
So I have 5 sisters and 2 brothers.
5 sisters, 2 brothers, and you're number 7.
And I'm
so
number
I'm just
7.
slowing down. I'm like, okay.
And what?
Mary, Annie, Betty, Francis, Paul, Martin, Alice, Eileen.
And that's in order.
That's in order. Jeff used to practice that all the time. It was so sweet.
Does he? Can he do it?
He gets it. But for a long time, and my sister Eileen will be okay with this, but for a long time he was calling her Elaine, Ellen. And for some reason, he just got thrown on the last one.
So I don't want to say this in a loving way towards other people. Do you expect, like me or Shane or other friends, to know your siblings' names?
No.
Like Jeff, there's some expectation, although 7's a lot.
Yeah, Jeff should know my siblings' names.
And your children do or don't know their aunts and uncles' names?
They do.
I don't want to embarrass anybody, sorry.
No, they do. It took a while, though, for them to get, to match the name in the face.
Okay.
David does now finally know all of his aunts and uncles, so he's good there.
I'm convicted regularly by my friends who will ask about my brothers by name.
Oh, wow. That's impressive.
They're like, how is Chris doing? And it's so loving. And I'm embarrassingly often like, I don't even know if you have siblings, let alone
what's your
their
name?
No. I'll say this. I'm embarrassed. Shane's got a bunch of siblings. I don't know their names. I couldn't even tell you if it's 4 or 5. It's a lot. I've met one of maybe 2 of them in passing once.
One, yeah.
Yeah. And so it embarrasses me when other people know.
Yeah.
Like my siblings.
I sometimes have a hard time keeping track of my own siblings, so I don't expect anyone else to.
Okay.
What was that household dynamic like?
It's crazy.
With all those kids.
Yeah, and being second to the youngest, like my oldest sister Mary and I, we grew up in 2 different households because she being the oldest, by the time you get to number 7, energy level's a little bit lower.
I relate to that.
Don't end up in jail, and we're good. The bar was
Just
set
get
a little bit
home
lower
at some point.
And I can say that because my mom and dad are both in heaven now. But they run out of energy a little bit by the time you get to the younger ones.
For sure.
And you could see what the older ones are doing that worked and didn't work, and make your own adjustments as needed.
So there's lots of different family makeups and dynamics. I think I heard you say mom and dad sort of singular. So that's 8 children from one couple, or is it a blended family?
No, it was all, my parents had 6 children and adopted 2.
Whoa.
Yeah, I was raised Catholic, and they were very involved in the Catholic services. And back then, you needed people to be foster parents. So they were foster parents to 3 kids, and 2 of them they adopted.
Wow.
So that's, the third one.
I wasn't going to ask. I was already biting my tongue.
No, the third one, I remember her very a little bit of my memory of her. Her name was Dorothy. I do remember that. And she was much older. So she must have been close to 18 when she came to us. And so she was not in a spot to be adopted. Wow. But yeah, they adopted 2.
That's fascinating.
Yeah. So, those Catholics, they like big families.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was chaos. And we lived in a house with 1 shower. 10 people.
For 10 of you,
10 people,
1 shower.
There was 1 shower.
Mercy.
Yeah. So you scheduled yourself.
And you probably ran out of hot water, too.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, even if you got the timing scheduled out.
Yeah, you learned people showered at night or the morning. But luckily, because I was one of the youngest, then eventually people moved out. And, then you finally get your own bedroom. And, things
those
happen.
middle 2 or 3.
Yeah, they got screwed.
That must have been terrible.
They probably feel that way, too.
As a middle child, in general, we do.
Yeah,
yes.
exactly. So, yeah. Yeah, we went on a lot of one-day trips. We didn't do vacations because you can't afford it. And we'd do a lot of everyone in the station wagon, Mom and Dad and Eileen, the youngest, in the front seat, 3 of us in the back seat, or middle seat, and 4 of us in the back where you're kind of, facing each other in those old-fashioned station wagons.
Oh, we had one of those.
Yeah, where you could hide and put somebody under the seat and close the thing up, and you wouldn't know they were there.
Like facing backwards?
Yeah, facing backwards or facing each other. Yeah, it was a weird configuration.
Those were the fun, though.
It makes me sick just thinking about it.
Yeah.
Making eye contact with some car behind you, just like, I don't want to be here either.
Eye contact would be the nice way of what we were doing back there with the cars behind us. My mom and dad had no idea.
Oh, mercy.
Yeah. Well, then I guess growing up, how would you kind of describe yourself as a kid? Were you wild, parents we don't know what you're gonna
This is being recorded.
No, sorry.
No, I was pretty cautious because I think being that young and having all the older siblings, I was constantly worried about, I was always wanting to keep people together. And I was worried about people going off in different directions always. I don't know why, but I didn't like that. I wanted us all to kind of be in the same vicinity.
I'm picturing a sheepdog who's
pretty
nipping
much,
everybody's
yeah,
heels.
Exactly. Everyone back on track. I'll never forget one time we did take a couple of trips. One time we took a train ride over to Leavenworth, Washington for a couple of days during Christmas. And for some reason, I think they were going to it's when they drop off some of the cars on the train. They just release them and keep going.
What?
Yeah. They're anyways, I was sure that my siblings on this train would be detached from each other, and I'll know that's my only memory of the trip is how stressed I was because I had heard that they were going to let certain cars unhook from the train, and then the train keeps moving on. Probably not even right. I don't think so. That sounds weird.
That sounds amazing. Yeah.
Anyways, that was one of my childhood. Yeah, just we all got to be together.
What a burden for this little girl to bear.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I'm kind of I'm the person in the family who wants to kind of organize people and get things together. And yeah.
Okay. So you eventually got out of the house? Did you go off to college to work?
No, I was silly. I look back and go, wasted opportunities.
I don't mean to imply there's a right or wrong.
No, I would have, I always worked. I got a job before, I was babysitting and I did paper routes and all that kind of stuff. All of us kids worked right off the bat.
Driving,
you had to.
bicycle, wagon?
The paper route, I walked it. It was right around my neighborhood. And it was only the couple of times I did it was mostly for subbing for my brothers who did mostly paper routes. I wasn't, but anyways, I always worked.
Okay.
So, and I got working into the food business, and then, high school, I didn't make the best choices. So then college wasn't, normally, community college was my option, and which really is a hard thing for me to think about. My dad was a professor at Seattle U, and I could have gone to Seattle University for no cost, but I just, I was in high school and I knew what I wanted to do, and that wasn't it. So coulda, woulda, shoulda. Yeah. So I just worked always in the restaurant business, and I tried school for a little bit, but it just wasn't my thing.
When you say in the restaurant business, like
in the kitchen.
In the kitchen. Okay.
Yeah, I've never done waitressing. I've always been in the back of the house. And so then I got on with the Marriott. Right after David was born, I started working at the Marriott Hotel over at SeaTac. Okay. And I worked there for 28 years.
Wow.
I just purchased all their food.
Out of the kitchen and into inventory and purchasing.
Yeah, I was still in the kitchen. My office was in the kitchen storeroom. I was surrounded by food. Yeah, it was great. I loved it. So my office was in the storeroom, and I just took care of all the banquets and all that stuff for food and liquor and all that for the hotel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Looking back at that, was that fine? Is it like you gained so much experience because of that?
It was good. It was good. Marriott was a really good, and still is a really good company to work for. So that part was good. It gave us a lot of benefits. My ex-husband and I had our own business. We had our own machine shop, and so I got to work for Marriott, so we were covered under health insurance and all that kind of stuff. So not necessarily the route I would encourage anyone else to take, but I always paid my bills and made things happen. But I could have done things differently.
Well, I think that's probably true of
everybody. I know. You always look back and think, I wish I had listened.
I think that most days.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like seasons of life where that could have gone differently, and maybe regret is too big of part of my life, or guilt, but it's probably not much of a stretch to say most days when I go to bed, it's like, I could have done that differently.
Yeah. So, but it all worked out, and it got me where I am today. So I'm not complaining about it.
So you're a mom and a grandma?
Yes, I am a mom.
And a wife.
And I have 3 kids, Julie, Lynn, and David. And I have 4 grandchildren, Zoe, Kaylin, Emma, and KJ. Yeah, and the best dog in the world, Zeke. Cutest dog in the world.
Zeke is a pug?
Yes.
Is pug short for something? It seems like it's slang.
No, just pug. They are bred for companion dogs. They're supposed to, that's what their job is to be on your lap and cuddle. And boy, does he do a good job.
Oh, I didn't know that about pugs.
Yeah, that's what they're for.
If I trusted that my kids would actually do all the picking up and cleaning and buying the food and paying the vet bills, I would want a Zeke.
Yeah, well, you might get to have him for a couple of days. We'll talk about that.
All right.
Do some babysitting.
Did you grow up with pets?
Yeah, we always had a dog or cat. Not too much more than that. We had our first dog was Chiquita. My mom is from Argentina, and she always tried to teach us Spanish. So Chiquita.
At least it tried.
She tried.
She tried to teach us Spanish. To be very clear.
She tried.
Sorry, Mom.
Yeah, and now I'm trying to learn Spanish all over again. But so we had Chiquita. We called him Cheetah. For short, and he was just a little runt dog, and we always
little runt.
He was the free dog, out of the whole litter, and he was the best dog in the world. Yeah, he would hear you walking home from school, and he would come and meet us like 2 blocks away from the house. He would run to the back door. He would know that we were getting close, and my mom would let him out, and he'd run up the street. We'd be 2 blocks away.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
So when it came time for Zeke to join your household, was that an easy decision for you and your husband?
It was an easy decision for me. It was not an easy decision for Jeff. We were living in a condo, and he would always point out to me, look at those poor people walking their dog every single day in the rain. And I'm like, I can do that. It's fine. And we got to a point where I had been looking online at pugs and just, checking it out. And I was going to be out of town, and I had been following this lady who just had a litter of pugs, and I just on the website, like on a Facebook,
at like the blinds.
No. I got on a Facebook website and found a pug website. So I thought, okay, well, she's got puppies, and I'm going to be on vacation, and if God really wants me to have a puppy, when I come back from vacation, if there's still one available, I will reach out to her. And I came back and the puppy was still available. So I reached out, and it was right after David came home from seminary. And I remember we left, the puppies were in Olympia, and I said, Jeff, we're just going to go look. We're going to go look.
Drive to Olympia.
And David looked at Jeff and said, you're getting a dog, as we were walking out the door. But we didn't get him at that time. We just went and took a look because he was too young.
Away.
Well, he was too young, so I couldn't have brought him home.
All right.
And that's on my phone is a picture of Jeff holding Zeke, and he's just the size of our palm of my hand. And then, so we brought him home 6 weeks later, and Jeff is completely on board with loving that dog to the point of I probably take second place. That's how much he loves that dog.
Oh,
yeah.
And are you the one out in the rain with him, or is it Jeff?
Jeff, we both do it. We have a really good routine. I do every single morning, and Jeff does every afternoon. And that is our baby. It's pretty sad with the way we treat him. Good for the dog, but
that's not sad. It's one of our running jokes at home. Is like, we'll all help take care of it. Like it feels just a lie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, so you were saying before you can answer as much or as little of this as you want, but you said you were raised Catholic.
Yes.
And now you work in a Lutheran church.
Yeah. My mom and dad, very Catholic. My mom was raised in Argentina and grew up. She lived in a boarding school that was the Irish Catholic nuns.
Wow.
Taught her, and she was there 9 months or so out of the year. So that was definitely her deep faith, and same with my dad. And they met in Houston, I think, at I think it was some sort of Catholic event. Okay. So we all went to church. We were all very involved in church all the way up. Probably by the time I got 16, I started rebelling, and it's like I was working, and on Sundays I would be working and such. So I kind of pulled away from the church, and then, Mom couldn't keep dragging us. At a certain point, you either go or you don't. Yeah. So I walked away from the church for quite a while. And then I had David. And it's funny how when you become a mom, it's like there's more than me here. All of a sudden your priorities shift a little bit. And I realized I was missing church, and I wanted David to be raised in church. So I started shopping around for a church. Catholic wasn't an option. And
are you at this time in Seattle still?
No, I was living here in Federal Way.
Okay.
So I went to an Episcopal church. David was going to daycare there, and that was a little too loosey-goosey. I thought, wow, there's no rules here. I know that. Okay. Yeah, we might have to edit that. No editing. No. Just my opinion. Yeah, just my experience.
Yeah.
Then I came into this Lutheran church because Brenda Freilich told me David and her son Phil were going to school together, and she told me about St. Luke's, and then she actually brought me information and really kind of encouraged me to check it out. So I came, and the sermon when I came the first time was Pastor Vic talking about how it's 3 touches to bring someone physically into a church. And that was exactly what had happened.
That Brenda invited you several times?
Yeah, several times. Yeah. And then when I came into the church, I sat down next to Russ Wolf, who was my accountant.
Oh, wow.
I mean, so what were all of the coincidences? It was like, this is interesting. And then I knew nothing about the Lutheran Church. So I just sit down and I'm thinking, okay, this feels very similar to the Catholic Church. And but I'm waiting for communion, because Catholic Church, you have communion every week. And I'm like, and at Catholic Church, communion's about 3/4 of the way through the service. So I'm thinking, man, we haven't even had communion. When is the service going to be over? And then finally it was over, and there was no communion. And then I realized, okay, it's a little bit different here, and it's not every week. But it was interesting. I'm like, I'm looking at my watch. What's going on? How much longer will I be here? But I fit here. Everything was, it felt good. So many similar things, but without some of the other stuff that I wasn't enjoying at my previous church.
Yeah.
So and then I brought David, and he was here, and he just clicked.
Yeah. And so I guess it was both through a mutual connection of Brenda and Russ. Well, Brenda invited you,
right?
And then
seeing
David-
someone that I know.
Yeah,
And then the sermon being about
that.
how you get someone into the building.
Yeah. And then David,
Yeah.
well, he fit in, so that definitely helped.
Yeah.
Helped.
It was a good youth program.
Yeah.
Back then. Yeah.
That prompts so many things in my pastor brain.
I know.
But I'll just take a moment here and celebrate Russ for a second. That for many people, it seems there's I guess many people just don't go to church for any number of reasons, and there's also many people who go sort of when they need it. Like maybe they're feeling down or need encouragement or need grace or forgiveness or hear God's word, and as long as they're good and filled, they don't. It's like if you're on a road trip, you don't stop at every gas station until you need it.
Right.
And so Russ could have had that mentality of
that day.
I don't need to be there. I'm fine. But he showed up, and through that, a whole family was connected.
Exactly.
And he might. Maybe he felt like he needed God's love and word that day, or maybe he went out of habit. But he showed up, and because he was there, you were blessed, and David is blessed.
Exactly. That's why we all need to show up, not just for ourselves, but for that person who needs to find someone like them or someone that they know, or you don't know what the reason is that we need to show up.
I just think that's so significant, and it's a different way of thinking than many people think about churches. It might be for you, and I if you're part of St. Luke's, great. I hope you love the sermon, love the music, and love the Sunday school and all the things. But
someone else needs you.
It might not be about you,
right? Yeah,
which is not a popular thing to say. I probably too casually tell people you just get over yourself. It's not about you.
Well, it isn't.
Which most of life probably isn't, and I need to hear that too. By the way, because most of my life is about me, and everything should revolve around me, which isn't true. And it's not how I really feel or think, but it's how I think and feel when I'm not conscious about it. So it's very easy to see myself at the center of the universe.
Well, when you're one of 8 kids, you are very rarely the center of anything.
Yeah,
so
that's
a whole nother thing. Yeah.
So if you want to teach your kids humility and patience,
have plenty of them,
and being kind to others, just keep having them.
Exactly.
Bring as many in as you can.
We need them. Yeah, it's all good. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and all my siblings still live in the Seattle area, so I get to still hang out with them all, and
that's amazing.
It is pretty amazing. That 8 of us are here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just this conversation where it's taken my brain and whatnot, but I don't know. I'm curious into hearing what was hard when you, maybe there was nothing, but what was hard when you started coming to St. Luke's?
To be like a new person at a church?
Yeah, to be new here.
It's hard. It's still, sometimes I walk in and now I know a lot of people, but sometimes even then I'll have a moment of, oh, okay, I don't know that person over there. Why does that make me uncomfortable? It's like, but you just got to go through it, because the rewards are so much better than there might be a little bit of uncomfortableness for a few minutes, but that's okay. And you just got to push through it, get to the other part of it, and, meet people. But it's also so important for us that are here on a regular basis to make sure we're looking out for those people who have that look in their eye of, oh my gosh, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
I don't know anybody. And that's a scary thing. I've been there, done it. So
there's several components. So one is that social, like the relational piece you just said of either I'm a stranger or I don't belong here. These people have been here forever.
Right.
This is their
church. Right.
But there's also the churchy part of it. I would imagine that parts of the service were comparable to some of the elements in a Roman Catholic Mass, but I bet other parts were
I was
weird.
looking around for the kneelers for a long time.
Yeah. Just talking to Shannon about that. We got to have kneelers.
No, don't do that.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
You can bring your own.
Yeah. So
Bring your own kneeler. Can you imagine? So,
Yes.
but what I would imagine the singing, the spoken parts, the stand up, sit down, that probably was weird.
it was, but I think that we have a pretty good system here where I could follow along with it. And I'm also used to following along with, in the Roman or the Catholic Church, every service was slightly different. So you just kind of get used to watching out of the corner of your eye what your neighbor's doing, wait for them, and then, all right, they're all standing up. Okay, that's good. I can get up now. Or just kind of hold back a little bit before I start singing.
Hold back. Don't be the first. Don't lead.
Exactly. Don't lead.
What?
Just, yeah.
What is no?
Yeah,
Always.
no, just to make sure I'm, following along.
Sometimes I lead. I come in too early.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a solo for a moment.
That's fair. Yeah. Those jukes happen. But
Yeah. So, Alice, what would you tell somebody if they're listening right now to this episode? They've maybe considered coming to St. Luke's or another church. Maybe somebody's invited them and they're like, I don't know. Like if they were to show up at this church or some other church, like how would you prepare them? What should they know? What should they do? Not do?
I think that if you want to shop around for a church, which is seriously what I did, is you have to just get out there and go to the church, but you got to kind of do some research online, find out where you're going, what the denomination is, all of that kind of stuff. But you have to just give it a little bit more than one chance. I mean, you might come to a service and it might not be the best day for the service staff, or it might not be a topic of a sermon that you necessarily relate to, but that doesn't mean that next week won't be. And to me, it's the best hour you can get out of your whole week. I mean, you come to church, you can either wrap up your week with church or start your week with church, either way. But I'm always encouraging people to come.
Yeah.
And I always will say it will be the best hour you spend all week.
Do you warn them about anything or prep them?
No.
Like, hey, come, but like you should know also.
No, it tends to be, I have multiple times I've invited people and it's the Giving Sunday. And it's like, I am all about giving. So that to me is just, it goes hand in hand with the walk of faith. But for somebody who's just walking into the door, that might be a little bit hard.
Yeah.
So I always make sure, and even now, like if someone new is coming on a Sunday and that's what our topic was, I will kind of try to find that person and just, we do this once a year and you just happen to be here and it's not what we're all about. But, that tends to be the reputation that churches get.
Yeah.
They just want your money. It's like, well, do you think that they can operate without money?
Yeah. I promise you our worship director is not arriving in a helicopter every Sunday.
No.
Just a private jet. Don't worry.
Yeah.
No,
When he's coming back from his
I am
island.
reusing scrap paper in my office.
Exactly
So I think about every penny I spend at this job because it's like someone gave us that money.
Yeah.
So we are good resources here.
Yeah.
We are.
And speaking of that, so you've been a member, you've been going to St. Luke's for...
Boy. I think David was 8.
I was going to say 8 or 9 is what I
So
thought.
over 20 years?
Yeah.
So over 20 years. Now you work here. How did that happen?
I volunteered good enough.
You weren't looking for a job, I don't think. You actually had a job.
No, I wasn't really looking for a job. I was still kind of at the Marriott, just kind of hanging out on there then now and again. And it just worked out. Yeah, I was volunteering here. And
what... So I don't know much about like what you volunteered here, but what did that entail?
I was the Tuesday person for quite a while. Tuesday when we have our staff meeting and we'd have someone come in and
help while
we were
Watch
all
the
in
office,
stuff.
answer the phones.
So I was that person. And then there was, everyone knew that they could call on me if they needed me to cover for a day here or there. I mean, it's not like I could cover for most of you, but there's a few people I can sit in and answer the phone for.
Yeah.
So I just started doing that more. And then when Pastor Dan decided he needed somebody, my name got brought up, I guess.
You had just been elected to the church council, the board, the ELT.
I was the secretary of the ELT.
For like a meeting.
A meeting, yeah.
I don't even if it was.
I had one meeting.
Okay, a full meeting, and then we hired her. And I'm like, well, that's
You
a
can't
conflict
do
of
both,
interest.
yeah.
You're off the board.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, I got booted off the board.
Well, what was the kind of timeline of this? Was this like 4 or 5 years ago?
I just hit 4 years. I just went 4 years. Yeah,
So, like,
October.
2018.
Yeah,
19?
October. It's very. I don't remember a whole lot of dates, but I remember my first day, October 1st, 2018, is when I started. Yeah.
So, well, you were doing like chef work or kitchen work before.
I know.
So how did you go into answering phones and care?
Very carefully.
Very carefully.
But I did a lot of, I was kind of the administrative person in the kitchen at the hotel. So I was answering, I was kind of, I was the one that did all the invoicing and all of that kind of stuff. Anything that came into the kitchen that was administrative was mine anyways. So that was probably already there. It just worked out. Every phone call is different here. So, I always felt very inadequate answering the phone because I'd answer the phone and then have to put them on hold and go answer the question. And, we're not selling widgets. So it's not like it's $5 a dozen or something. That's not the questions we get. So it's interesting, but I love it. Yeah.
That is one of the beautiful, fun, terrifying things about at least some aspects of church work is whether it's a phone call or an appointment, this person might be giving you a check for $10,000, telling you they're getting divorced, like telling you they hate the church, or they're coming to volunteer for Sunday school, and it's just,
you never know.
Where is this going? Because it could go anywhere at any moment.
It can. Just like every time I make a lot of phone calls, and that was hard at first. It was really hard for me to pick up the phone and call people because you're calling strangers.
Yeah.
I'd say a lot of prayers, still do. Just let me find the words. And, a lot of times I left a lot of messages, and I'd get halfway through the voicemail and then you'd lose your train of thought. And here you are, you're trying to leave a voicemail for someone that's trying to sound professional. And at some point I just say, I don't know. I lost my train of thought. Give us a call back at the church.
just call back.
Just call back. You never know.
So some of our people listening may have got a voicemail or an email from you. Other people may have no idea what you're talking about. When you call people, what are you trying to do, or what do you hope that they would hear or would come out of that?
Most of the time when I call people, a lot of times it's because we might not have seen them for a few weeks. And so then it's my job to just call and say, hey, is everything okay? Sometimes it's vacations or whatnot.
Are you trying to make them feel bad?
No. And I always have to preface it with that. And now I've just flat out said that. I said, this is kind of an awkward conversation maybe to have, but we've missed you. Where have you been? And they always laugh. And I try to just throw in some humor. It's like, I'm just checking on you.
Yeah.
Or a lot of times I'm calling people just to try to coordinate services or rides or my job, as your assistant or Pastor Dan's assistant is to, assist in whatever way he needs. And a lot of times that's just making connections.
Help and love on people.
Right. Yeah. That's, and one phone call a lot of times leads to another phone call to another church person. And then pretty soon, yeah.
I've been a pastor for 15 or so years now. And it's been my main adult job. So I don't know what other industries feel like and if there are analogous things to this. But I feel like at church, there's a certain level of guilt that people feel. So you're calling somebody who hasn't been there for a while, and I think some people probably feel bad or guilty or ashamed or embarrassed. And
it's never my intention.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think. The only other analogy for me is when the dentist asked, why you didn't floss or how much you floss. I know
I need to floss.
I know that the dentist actually wants what's good for me, but I wish they didn't ask because I feel dumb every time.
Yes.
And yet I'm thinking other areas of my life. I'm part of a track club. And if there's a family or another coach and they're part of track practice and I see them Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, if I don't see them for a couple weeks, to not call isn't
would be
good.
Rude,
yeah.
Right.
So I feel like if we're doing this thing together and we care about each other, realistically in my track practice, if I missed one practice without telling the head coach, he would call or text him hey, everything all right?
Yeah.
Of course he would. And it's because he cares about me. So it's weird. In that area of my life, if I missed once, he absolutely would call me, and if I blew it off, I might feel embarrassed, but more likely than not say, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you I was doing this thing, or we weren't feeling well. And that feels so normal and loving.
Yeah. those phone calls, it's always a good response. I've never had somebody
good.
yell at me for checking on them. Usually, could lead to all sorts of different questions and such, but they like the fact that I'm calling to check.
Cool. And I think there's different expectations. So with our track club, like it does feel like a family, and that's what people are looking for there. And I think churches can feel like Kiwanis or Costco, where you're a member in maybe a different sort of sense. And so they didn't join with that same expectation of close friends accountability. So then at that point, it feels unfair to hold them to a standard that they never signed up for. But like with my track club, it's inconceivable to me that somebody, I'm there 3 times a week, 4 times a week, month after month after month, and I've been part of the club for a few years. It's crazy to me to think that somebody might show up who I've never met and be like, "Oh no, I'm part of the track club." I'm like,
I don't know you.
No, you're not. Yeah. Like I've literally never seen you before. Like, in what sense are you part of the family here? And yet, church, that happens all the time too. Of you don't see somebody for 10 years, and like on the one hand, like welcome, I'm so glad you're here. Right. On the other hand, like we've never met.
Right, and
that's
if
weird.
you
It's
ask
awkward.
them though, they would. A lot of they'd say, "No, St. Luke's is my church because I was here 10 years ago," and it's like, well, that's great, and I love the fact that you feel that way about St. Luke's, but
welcome
membership. You kind of want to be here.
Yeah.
We
want you here.
Yeah, we need you here.
Other people
need you here.
So I so appreciate, Alice, that like you're in that. It's partly awkward at times. There's also just really good love, and it's also really important and necessary. But that's and you're not selling anything,
right? Exactly.
But you're potentially cold calling strangers.
Yeah, cold calling strangers. Yes,
like that's
I had to get over that pretty
ideal.
Quick. Yeah, I know. So, like I said, God comes in to play a lot. So, which is good. That's how it should be.
Yeah. What? Jane, I've got something non-work related, but do you have anything on that you want to follow?
Yeah.
What do you do for fun, Alice? Like what do you enjoy? What fills you up?
I tend to do a lot of crafty stuff. Like right now I'm knitting. I've done, I do crochet. I like to color.
When you say color, what do you mean? Markers, pencils?
Markers, pencils. Yeah. I have so many coloring
like adult
books.
coloring books where you fill in?
Adult coloring books. Yeah, I know that's, but it's very, very therapeutic. So I do that. And yeah, I'm not out hiking, things like that. I'm kind of a home person.
Yep. Do you normally do that with something like on in the background?
Yeah,
or like,
I always have TV going on.
Okay.
And it's usually an old sitcom.
Nice.
Yeah, like, Bob Newhart or, Mary Tyler Moore, old sitcoms.
So old.
Yeah.
With the 3 of us here at the table, it would be remiss of me not to mention The Office TV program.
Yes.
That my co-host is not a viewer of, and my co-worker Alice and we have a lot of moments where we can share.
Yeah, there's an Office almost every day. Something that you can say about The Office.
I try to make at least one reference to the show in our actual office every day, just to make sure Shane feels a little bit on the outside.
For all the viewers, I'm choosing not to watch The Office out of spite at this point in time.
Oh, you're missing out.
It's worth it if it.
So, you said crafty, right? So, is it? I don't want to say beyond color. Not that coloring isn't enough, but I think of coloring as more like artistic, and crafty is more like assembling or gluing.
Yeah.
Cutting.
I'm not assembling or gluing. So more. Like I don't really consider myself artistic though, because I'm just coloring in somebody else's pretty drawing. So how artistic is that?
You got to make the decision.
I do have to make the decision on the colors, but I'm not gonna. Yeah.
Do you keep it pretty straight and narrow? Like this is an apple. It's going to be red or green or yellow.
I don't like going off.
You're not
There's no purple apple.
On the bright orange tree, like
no, I can't do that. No, it has to be somewhat real for me.
Do you have a preferred medium, the gel pens or?
I like the gel pens. Yes,
like the sparkly ones.
The sparkle, anything sparkly is always good with me. Lately, I've been doing. They call it diamond painting, and with the little stick on, tiny little beads. Yeah, that's kind of become my new obsession. It looks like paint by numbers.
Oh, gotcha.
But you do it with the little beads and
adhesive
you pick them up.
beads.
Adhesive. That's really so that's kind of been my latest go-to.
Yeah,
my daughter loves that.
I know.
As well. Very much.
Are these the coloring books I've seen sometimes in stores where there's literally like thousands of spots to color
Yes,
in. Like
yeah.
when I as a kid, when I
You're not-
color in,
yeah,
it's like
yeah.
two
No,
big blobs.
No,
just-
no, it's not your children's color.
the fat crayon.
Yeah, with the big fat crayon.
Upside down caveman hand. Like it's a toddler.
Did you like coloring?
I did. It's those ones stress me out when I look at them. I'm like, there's so much to do. Like,
But it's kind of
calming.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, just it's have some music on or a show, and it's just you just focus on something that lets your brain. I'm not very good at doing nothing, so that's about as close to doing nothing as I can do.
Yeah, one of my kids is on board with that. The other could for a short time, and the other is just big fat crayon. I don't care. This has no interest to me whatsoever.
Not interest at all. Yeah.
but I definitely I relate to that though. Like when I watch TV shows, sometimes I got to be doing something else to like keep my attention. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I can't watch TV without doing something.
Yeah. So like I relate to that. So like that's what I was doing last night. Laura and I were watching a show, and I was working on the website at the same time, just because like I don't know. It helps.
One of the books I got for Christmas that I'm almost finished reading. I'll just drop it here and we can move on.
Large print Bible.
No, well that's true. This is a normal print hardbound called Stolen Focus, and it's about why we can't focus and all the technological, environmental, social factors that have gone into just our inability to maintain a thought and be present and slow down, and all the anxiety that comes with the So it's just I'm almost done. Very much enjoying it. Alice, I don't know how to say this question concisely, so give me a second I might have to reword it, but having been or being now a guest on the show, and the topic is who is Alice Phillips, getting to know you. What have we not touched on that like, hey, this would not be a complete, not that we're doing your complete life story, but if somebody's listening and knows you a little bit or doesn't know you at all, like what would be a total failing if it didn't come up?
About me?
Yeah. Like, oh, how did I not mention this other, like, so for example, Shane, like, okay, he's from Wisconsin and he plays video games, but like if we didn't mention music and singing, we missed the ball. Like that's such a big part of his life. So is there anything besides hospitality, food, Zeke, family of origin, kids, grandkids, work now?
No, that's pretty much me. I like to take care of people and to connect people, and so there's no big talent that I'm not sharing with you. Let's put it that way. I don't have any music abilities that I'm holding back. No, it's I am what you see. So I'm sharing all of my gifts with the church as it is.
I'm not prying for anything.
No. I think I've told you many times I've never worked as hard as I love my job, but I've never worked as hard as I have.
I appreciate it.
Podcast's a cry for help.
Right. No. But that's because there's just so one thing opens up doors for another thing, and it's all about God. So you just. You really get a burst of energy, and you want to share it with everyone. So no, there's nothing. I have no hidden aspirations.
Do you like to cook, or do you like ordering food? I mean,
I don't really enjoy cooking a whole lot anymore, only because I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of deciding what's for dinner every night.
Gosh, they don't prepare you for that at all in school.
No. And luckily, I don't have any young kids anymore, so I don't have to prepare dinner every night.
Like I said, luckily I don't have any kids anymore.
But so I enjoy bringing things together and making things happen. And I would much rather cook a meal than pay someone to cook it for me. Yeah. So there's.
And our kids are at the age now where we can prepare it after laboring of what should we have. And then it's just like, I don't like that. I'm going to make something else. Like, knock yourself out.
Oh, we wouldn't. I would never know. This is what we're having for dinner.
Though they have to make it themselves, and they have to have vegetables.
Okay, all right.
This is the vegetable I prepared. If you want something else, you can make it.
Make a different vegetable. Okay.
But then they're on it.
Yeah. No, this is what's for dinner tonight. There are no options B. I guess you'll be hungry for breakfast. That's how I ran the house.
And you'll live through it. It'll be okay.
It will be okay. This too shall pass.
Okay. Shane, you like write things down over there. It makes me nervous.
Oh no, these aren't just notes.
Off topic.
Pretty much.
I'm not judging. I just wanted to give you a chance if there was something you wanted to make sure.
Burning question.
Oh no. I think I asked.
Come back to this.
That's a lot of the ones that came to mind. I'm sure I'll think of 20 others at once we're done with this, but that's the good part, keeping the conversation going.
All right, Alice, if somebody wanted to find you at St. Luke's on a Sunday morning, what service do you go to? Where do you hang out, haunt?
Normally I go to 10:45 service.
Okay.
We try to sit towards the front, the middle towards the front.
Okay.
Is our normal sitting place, but you'll also tend to find me back in the lobby or maybe in the office on a Sunday morning, but 10:45 is a service that I tend to go to.
And sometimes you're married to the bassist.
Sometimes I am, or the worship coordinator.
Or the worship coordinator who unlocks the doors.
Right, exactly.
Chief usher.
Right, so yeah, it's a family affair. Sometimes.
People listening, this is all the same person.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
He's a hard worker.
What I meant to say is Alice's one husband, Jeff.
One husband.
Plays a variety of roles here at St. Luke's.
I didn't even think about that. That's funny.
Oh boy.
Good thing we made clarification.
Yeah, we'll edit all that out. This will never see the light of day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so no, I'm normally here at 9:45 or 10:45. Yeah.
Awesome. How could a member, visitor, parishioner of St. Luke's support you in what you're trying to do here?
Oh, you could just reach out to me and let me put you on a list of people I can call for when I need things. Like I would love to have a group of people, a list of people I could call when a fellow church member needs a ride to church. So yeah, you can, the church.
What are other
email.
needs? So sometimes people need a ride and you're trying to find them a ride.
To church. Sometimes people need a ride to a doctor. Sometimes people just need someone to go pick up groceries for them. Any of those things I try to connect people for. People to write random cards. I have a few people who do that. Every time we can just reach out and touch one of our St. Luke's people, especially the ones that aren't able to get in here all the time. Yeah. That's a big priority for me, is just for people to feel that we're thinking about them, praying for them, and remembering.
It's so beautiful. I love it. It's hard and exhausting.
But it's also the most rewarding. Yeah. We get people who will send us a thank you card for a thank you card, that we sent them, or send us a thank you card just because we called them for something. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, we were just talking yesterday.
The smallest little thing goes so far. And the one point I would like to make is some people tend to think if they can't sign up and help every week, then why bother? And I can work with people's schedules. If you want to say, hey, I can help out once every 3 months, I'll work with that. Yeah. I never expect that someone's signing up forever and then they never get out of that duty. I will take a little bit over a lot any day of the week, because if everyone just does just a little. Yeah. It can all get done.
And the bar is pretty low.
The bar is low. And I know that the person who's doing the help would get more out of it. It's always how it works. Anytime I help someone out, I get more out of it.
So if somebody listening to this right now would like to help, can they sit down with you and brainstorm ways that they can serve? Yes. Even if they're like, okay, I don't want to drive people. I'm not good at making cards, but could they just find a hour of you
and we could talk about what they would like. I mean, you're making a casserole, make a little extra and stick it in the freezer for me. I have plenty of people who could use a homemade casserole every once in a while. And just little things like that is, like I said, everybody has something to offer. Everyone has a special gift.
So how can people connect with you?
They can call me at the church, or they can email me at aphillips@stluke's-church.com.
So Shane will link those in the show notes, but APHILLIPS at stluke's-church.com.
Yes.
And the phone number here is 253
941
941
3000. Yeah.
3253.
So no, anything, like I said, it's any amount of help is appreciated.
Yeah. So maybe you're listening right now and you're thinking, you know what, I should do it. I'm just going to send a text, send a call, email, and let's find, or I can offer something. Maybe if it might be easier for some of you to just nominate your friend, and you should say, hey,
this would be good for you.
Listen to this podcast. This Alice person sounds like there's somebody you should talk to.
Yeah. And, if we talk and you try it once and it's not something that you like, that's okay. You don't ever have to do it again. But I promise you'll like it. I'm not asking for a whole lot here. So
it's not a timeshare. And it's not a magazine that you can't get off the email list.
Right. I promise I'll let you off the hook if you're ready and you wanting to be done with it. I'll let you be done.
Awesome.
I don't hold anybody for a lifetime.
Okay. Very cool. Alice, thanks for coming on and being part of this, by the way.
Thank you.
You helped design the room a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
And
found a volunteer to paint it.
See,
I'll take that credit.
Making the piece.
Exactly.
Connected. And you've never been on the show.
No. And where do we get the keychain that Terry got?
You want a keychain?
I want a keychain.
All right,
We will get it. Don't worry.
So we've got keychains and stickers and all kinds of swag.
You just have to be on the show to do it.
Candy corn that nobody seems to want. The listeners, by the way, there is a chance that instead of just waiting for you to call St. Luke's and volunteer, Alice might be calling some of you. I've asked Alice to say, hey, we want to get just normal and a variety of people on the show who don't have any necessarily amazing stories about how they saved a baby seal or whatever, just regular people with regular lives. So we'd look forward to some of our listeners and people around here being part of the show. And Alice might call you out of the blue and you can...
And I can tell you how easy it was. Yeah. You don't have to prepare at all. You just could sit here and they ask you questions.
Just show up and be you.
Yeah.
All right.
It can happen.
And even if you're never on the show, even if this is your last time listening to the show, we still love you. Find a friend. Maybe it's somebody you do life with regularly. Maybe it's somebody you've bumped into occasionally. Invite them out for a coffee or a walk. And just listen. Yeah, you never know what that gift can be to someone when you pick up the phone and call. Yeah. All right. Well, we're signing off for now. See you next week for 2414. Thanks for walking with us. That's the end of the episode, but we want to continue the conversation. Continue the conversation by sharing this episode, subscribing, or leaving a review. Connect with us on Instagram at 2414 Podcast. Connect with us through email at 2414@stlukes-church.com. Or best of all, keep the conversation going by inviting someone to process with you so that you can each walk away with more understanding that leads to more conversation as the journey continues. If you happen to be in the Seattle-Tacoma area of Washington, stop by on a Sunday morning and say hi. 2414 is a podcast produced by St. Luke's Lutheran Church in Federal Way, Washington. To find more content, discover upcoming opportunities to connect in person, or to support the show, head on over to stlukes-church.com. Thanks for walking with us.